Hello Year 7, welcome to this week's lesson. This is week 5 of our lessons, this 7th week for lockdown I think it is. I'm losing count of time. Thank you for all the work that was done last week, some super stuff coming in, some very thoughtful answers, people really thinking about how am I going to answer this question, what am I going to say? Just a reminder there of how you can send your work in. You don't need to have a laptop or a desktop. If you have your phone, you can watch the video, you can do the work on paper, and you can send a photograph of your work to me at the email address below. So don't worry, if you don't have a laptop or a desktop or a tablet, if you have your mobile phone, that's enough to get the lesson through to me. Okay, so let's move on then to this week's lesson. Right at the top, can we write the Buddha's teachings, the Eightfold Path. The Buddha's teachings, the Eightfold Path. Can we make sure we spell Buddha correctly? Make sure we underline our title. Last week we looked at the 4 noble truths. These were dukkha, that life brings suffering. Samudaya, suffering is caused by craving, wanting things all the time. Nirodha, an end to craving is an end to suffering. So if we stop wanting things all the time, then it should bring an end to suffering. And magga, to end craving, follow the Buddha's path. So thinking about the Buddha teaching that craving, stopping wanting things all the time, that craving causes suffering, write a sentence saying how you think the Buddha would have wanted people to live. So if people are going to put aside this idea that I've got to have this and I've got to have that, how would he have wanted people to live? Okay, so stop the video there and write that sentence. Okay, so 2 weeks ago we learned in the first lesson the Buddha lived in a palace. And then he left there and lived with monks. So what I would like us to do, thinking back on that, is write a sentence, describe what was it like for the Buddha to live his life of luxury in the palace. And when we've done that, to write a sentence, describe what it was like for the Buddha to live his life with the monks when he nearly starved, if you remember the story. So 2 sentences, what was it like to live in the palace? What was it like to live with the monks when he nearly starved? Have you stopped the video there? So magga is the 4th of the Noble Truths. Magga means path. The Buddha believed there was a middle path that people should follow. And it was in between a life like that of the palace and a life like that of the monks. It was life where you didn't have loads of luxury and at the same time you didn't starve yourself, make yourself ill the way the Buddha did. So he says people should try and follow a middle path. And following the right path meant keeping to 8 ways of living. So what I want us to do is to draw a wheel with 8 spokes and label each spoke with the names of each of the ways. And if we look at that diagram there, we've got the Eightfold Path and we've got our wheel with its 8 spokes. And we've got the right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right concentration, and right mindfulness. So it's a nice artwork, please. We had some lovely work a couple of weeks ago when people did a cartoon strip of the Buddha's life. So can we have now a drawing of the wheel with its 8 spokes and each of the spokes labelled with one of the right ways? So the Eightfold Path is also called the Threefold Way, just to confuse us. And that's because those 8 spokes can be split into 3 parts. There's ethics, there's about what's right and what's wrong. Meditation, how people should meditate. Remember the Buddha spent 46 days sitting under the tree meditating. And Buddhists believe that the way to escape from the problems and the pain and the suffering of this world is to sit and meditate and think about higher things. So there's ethics, and there's meditation, and there's wisdom, having a right view or understanding of the world. So let's go through those again. Ethics. So we've got right action, right speech, right living. Okay, so what's the right way? What's the wrong way to live? Meditation. Right mindfulness, right effort, right concentration. 3 ways of meditating, of trying to lift your mind above the things in this world. And wisdom, being wise in the world, right view of the world, understanding, and having the right intention the way you do things. So what I would like you to do is look at that threefold way and the eightfold path, and from each of the threefold ways, 1, 2 and 3, I'd like you to pick out one of the eightfold paths and say why you think it'd be hard to follow. So when we're doing ethics, why would right action or right speech or right living be sometimes difficult to follow? Meditation, why would right mindfulness, right effort, right concentration be hard to follow? I would find that really hard to do. I'm hopeless at meditating or sitting still for very long. As you know, in the classroom, I move around all the time. And finally, wisdom. How can we be wise in the world? How can we get the right view of the world when we're being bombarded with stuff from on social media and on the internet and on television? All these people saying their way is the right way. So wisdom might be something, having a right view might be a problem, or right intention. How do we know the right way of going about things? Okay, so I'd like you to pick out 3 of the eightfold paths and say why you think those be difficult to follow. Finally, something for you to do for yourselves. Think about it. If you were asked to plan a middle way between living a life of luxury and having nothing at all, what would you include in your lists of the right ways to live? Think about yourself being like the Buddha and you've got a plan, a middle path. Let's have maybe 3 ideas, 3 bullet points. What would be in your list of the right ways to live? Okay. Next week, we move on to karma and rebirth. Lots of us sometimes use the word karma, and next week we're going to have a look at what that word means.